Good morning, frenemies. Today we want to try and identify whether this weekly buy zone that we have for Bitcoin, maybe let's just switch over to this chart, this weekly buy zone that we currently find ourselves in, whether that is good, whether we need to be bullish or whether we need to run for the hills. So let's have a look at a couple of interesting metrics before we dive into that. So the first one would be your fear and greed index. So if we have a look at the fear and greed index, we're currently sitting around 16, which in my opinion, typically this just is a nice sentiment indication for us to define whether the retail traders will be buying the dip. We know that good bottoms, they don't buy the dip. Good tops, they don't sell the top. They're always acting in the middle. So we're at an extreme, which is a really good time for us to want to act. Also, what we have on the CoinMarketCap version of it, it's sitting around 24 as well. So we do have a lot of confluential factors pointing to the fear and the sentiment being that retail has basically checked out. We're done. We left. We don't care anymore. Okay. And what I want to add to this is why I think that this is a really good time to still want to be a bull or be bullish is because of this. Let's bring up with Bitcoin. Let's bring up the weekly chart, load that. And I want to show you some similarities. And I've got a lot of that I think that I can back this with. Okay. Hidden bullish divergence on the weekly time frame. I use the weekly time frame analysis for strong bearish, hidden bullish, whatever version of divergence is there to set the sentiment for the trend that I typically hold on to for months at a time. When we look at Bitcoin at our 2022 all-time lows, it was the strong bullish divergence on the weekly time frame that ignited the belief that we have bottomed. And when we reclaim specific levels, pivotal support, we call that, with that divergence, that normally signals a bigger move at play. It's the same for the 2021 all-time highs. And we can use this hidden bullish divergence as well to hunt for really good buy the dip opportunities like you had in 2021 June when the market sold off extremely high and we had an RSI do the opposite, okay? Go make a lower low while price didn't make a lower low. And that's hidden bullish divergence for you. Now, hidden bullish divergence with the fact that we've got a very low sentiment on fear and greed and CoinMarketCap's fear and greed index makes me believe that this is a really good zone for us to be bullish. It's also worth noting, if we look at Bitcoin, we have not really broken any trends as of yet. So a relief rally at worst case scenario is possible. And potential higher highs for 2026 is even probable if the buy zone holds. So we have to act from a bullish point of view. Now, if we look at the amount of liquidations that's currently happening in the market around these highs, we had the biggest liquidation event for Bitcoin just the other day, the 9th of October, that really spiraled this bearish momentum into fruition. And it was because of a lot of longs closely packed at critical support levels. So if we have a look at that price action on the weekly time frame, if we look at that price action on the weekly time frame, we saw that Bitcoin went all the way from $115,000 all the way down to $80,000. Massive sell-off because of those tightly packed support areas. And it's typically because people were not expecting a lower low. So the average trader, when we look at something, and I'm guilty just like anybody else, but want to see something go on higher, I say, well, I cannot afford a lower low. And the cheap in me, meaning the cheap trader in me, says, well, if that is the case, I'm not going to put my stop there. I'll put it as close to the invalidation as possible. And that's why once you cross a critical level, you'll normally get this overextension of a bearish move. It's because of everybody's stops, a domino effect that just drives price lower. That's why that was a massive liquidation event, stop hunts. Everybody was in firm belief that we won't make a lower low. Now, Peter, I need to take away the camera when we do this because nobody can see the chart. Okay. It's going to be me flying solo with this thing, guys. So don't worry. I'll make sure I'll get the info to you. Okay. Now, institutional inflows has also been a bit of a sticky point because part of the entire move that we've had here was institutional adoption, Bitcoin treasury companies having more Bitcoin, everybody wants more Bitcoin and so forth. And it is that adoption that really drives the entire rally at the moment. Now, if we go to where we are right now, our institutional inflows are getting weaker at the moment. So let's have a look at that. Where Bitcoin is sitting at around $90,000, we've got about 150 million negative, 20 million positive, thereabouts. So the institutions, the big players at this stage, isn't backing the bottom. Now, if I'm saying this, I'm saying bullish, buy, and I'm saying the big players aren't backing the bottom. What does that mean? It means that my bullish narrative for saying this is still a good time to buy is not to try and target all-time highs and be crazy with that. I'm trying to be conservative, expecting price to still go to at least 100K for a relief rally. Okay. Now, here's an interesting chart that I want to share with you guys as well. Just quickly load this. And that's Bitcoin's MVRV ratio. Now, the crux of this chart is as follows. If it's positive, it means that Bitcoin holders are in profit. And if it's negative, it means the majority of Bitcoin holders are in drawdown. And with the MVRV value still being positive, it means that at this stage where we find ourselves right now with price, it is still for the mass, the institutional investor, a good time to take profit. And the only way that they can take profit is by creating short-term bullish environment to entice you to take the other side of the market. They cannot sell into a low activity market. They've got too much. They cannot take profit. They need you to want to believe it's bullish to buy the Bitcoin off their hands. And that supports the short-term outlook for us as well. Now, what do we have that can add a little bit more of a bullish narrative to that? Well, normally when we look at the amount of coins reserved on the exchange, the narrative normally is as less and less Bitcoin lives on the exchange, this is a bullish signal because it means larger investors are taking money and leaving or taking their Bitcoin off the exchanges and storing them for the longer outlook. And this thing, coupled with the mining reward, the miners, what they're doing, they're holding on to their Bitcoin right now, supports the idea that short term we could see some Bitcoin moving up. Right. And that's basically the gist. So short term, I want to see us go and visit 100. And long term, we're probably still set for a larger correction. Now, the last long-term chart that I shared with you guys was this one when we looked at Bitcoin's halvings. Between the halving dates, we analyzed the time and we got to the conclusion that around the 38% of the time between halvings, is normally when Bitcoin tops out. That's the vertical blue line. And around the 618% of time, 618 fib ratio of time between the two halvings, that's when the bottom occurs. So it means that upside, or the upside I'm looking for right now, is short term for the longer term downside. To answer the question then, with Bitcoin being where it's at, is the current buy zone good? Yes, I believe the current buy is still good on the basis that I'm not expecting crazy all-time highs. I'm expecting a relief rally bounce. I'm expecting price to go and test the previous support that was lost at around 105. That also subsequently led to the mass liquidation. And I expect that around that time, our sentiment should change. And it's that demand that crypto is looking for that will give the institutional holders the liquidity to get out, to take profit, as they are still in profit. There you have it. Now, let's quickly have a look at a couple of other coins, and then we're going to end off the stream. We're going to want to try and make this as short as possible, seeing that it is December and we want to have lekker weekends. So Bitcoin now, and I'm going to zoom in and I explain to you guys, and I want to show you guys a setup that you can use to simplify this. So Bitcoin on the 4-hour time frame. Let's quickly have a look at Bitcoin on the 4-hour time frame. There we go. Oh, there we go. Bitcoin on the 4-hour time frame. As of last week, Bitcoin 4-hour is frustratingly still range bound. This is a good sign because when something wants to change a trend, we were trending bearish with this liquidation event. When we want to turn the tide and start turning bullish, first we need to go through a lateral range where the market is chopping. Now, I know that there's a lot of lines in TA on the chart, but it's all necessary stuff. It's my diary. It's how you keep up to tab of what you were thinking and what you're waiting for. And the important target that I wanted to highlight with you guys, and it's been like this now for a week, is that we've had this massive imbalance where price moved very fast, and it's around where we are right now, price bracket where we are finding ourselves right now, 88, 89. Every time we get there, the market has this insane move. And the basis now for that is why we need to be trapped and range bound here is because we need to capture the liquidity in this imbalance before we can move on. Now, the setup I want to share with you guys is very simple. All you need to do is have the buddy indicator. It measures the momentum for you and it overrides the candles based on what the momentum would be. And if you want to enter on the move, the next move or the next push to the upside, wait for the 4-hour to turn the candle bodies blue, dive into a 10-minute, and then as soon as that turns the body candles blue there as well, you use the 3-candle rule, meaning your stop is 3 candles back, and you stay in the move for as long as it holds on to either your trend, either your fib, your fan, or when it turns the candles orange again, which it hasn't done just yet. That's as simple as that. Now, if you want to have access to that, all you need to do is go to my Discord, get the PRIMEXBT account funded accordingly, take a trade, and then claim your access. Simple as that. Links to everything is in the video description, and this will get you connected. It overrides the candle card, the candle body color for you. As simple as that, and it gets you in on the move with the right momentum. Okay, there you have it. Now let's have a look at an altcoin that I think is flying that we need to have a look at. Now, from a liquidations point of view, and this is quite an interesting chart. If you just get this chart. Okay. You see the biggest majority of liquidations happened around Bitcoin and Ethereum, but recently PIPPIN has been experiencing some crazy liquidation. Well, it means that a lot of people are trading around that area, or trading that coin. So let's have a look at PIPPIN real quick. So I'm bringing up PIPPIN now, and we're looking at this on the weekly. So it looks like another Zcash, with the market flying, with PIPPIN within the week went from 15 to 35 cents. So massive gainer in that sense. So if you want to get in on the momentum in this one, PIPPIN could be a really good example of a coin that we can trade aggressively. So I'm going to go to the daily time frame for PIPPIN. And then I'm going to bring in the RSI. And I want to show you where the major support and resistance levels are. The reason why that is a major support is very simple. You've got a pivot in the RSI that tells you when we got to that point, the market responded and reacted aggressively, turned direction, and when it's reclaimed that area, that still needs to get tested as support. So the anticipation is that all this selling pressure that we're experiencing on the daily could see PIPPIN move back down to at least 22 cents. And then from that point onwards, see the market rally, continuation of move. Who's to say that this thing can't go to $1, wherever it needs to go? You have to treat the trend as if it's going to last forever. So that's the critical area of support. What will we have to support our bullish bias for PIPPIN around that area? Well, we can have a look at the lows that led to the last move, and then again go to the RSI around that area and say, what will typically happen is the retrace that goes and tests support will be met with an RSI doing the opposite, going below these levels. So price stays above and the RSI goes below. And the fact that we've already got strong bearish divergence is a nice setup to see price push back down to support at around 22 cents, for us to have hidden bullish divergence around that range for continuation. And remember, here's the catch, guys. We don't use strong bearish divergence as a bearish signal. It's showing you bullish momentum. It's only bearish if we lose support. So the risk, the part where you come into the picture and you have to weigh up the risk. I cannot give you financial advice. This is not financial advice. We're looking at probabilities. The part where you need to take the risk is around 22 to find out whether the divergence will hold, whether support will hold, or whether it's going to lose and ineffectively delete itself. So if we go below that level at around 15, that will probably then signal a more downside. That's the daily analysis for PIPPIN. Now, take this and we go and use this information on the 4-hour. We can use the buddy indicator. Buddy indicator is still being blue, so it's still pointing to bullish momentum. We have the critical levels now. We can mark out new ones because we zoomed in. The same way, look at the RSI. That's the point where we started turning, the RSI started turning momentum. That's the area where support lives. That being support, we're sitting in a situation where falling below 35 would mean what? Strong bearish divergence playing out. And it's definitely there. So resistance, where we're at right now on the smaller time frame, has a lot of resistance going for it, which just supports the idea that PIPPIN, where we find ourselves on the 4-hour, let's just pull this daily support level over to the 4-hour. Just supports the idea that it's not a screaming buy right now. It's wait for the retrace because it will probably do just that due to the nature of the 4-hour. And around this area here, this imbalance that we clearly see will be a great buying opportunity or continuation for the trend. That's what we want to look for. If you want to trade or counter trade the trend, so you're really risky, you want to try and dive in and see if you can get a short down. What I would suggest though is use the buddy indicator. Go on to the 1-hour time frame, because you're trying to trade against the grain of the trend. You don't want to be looking at too higher time frames because it's going to be too late for any of those time frames to give you the necessary momentum. Go on to the 1-hour time frame. Wait for the buddy indicator to color the candles orange, which it hasn't done yet. It will probably only do that once the momentum is there. It's not quite there yet. Wait for it to turn the color orange. And once that is done, you then go to the 10-minute and wait for the next structured break. So it will then at that stage also color a new set of orange candles, meaning it will probably go up, down, it will go up again, turns orange, turns blue, and then when it turns orange again, when you have that orange locked in there, that's your short, and that short you could drive then down all the way to lows where you want it to be. Okay, it's as simple as that. Okay, another coin that's really high on everybody's list, funny enough, is MYX. I was looking at it now. This was a coin that we were trading a lot a few months ago. So I'm just loading the weekly chart for you. Now, when you have a weekly that looks like this, there's a clean imbalance. Same way as we were looking at the 4-hour buy zones for PIPPIN now, the same imbalance sitting right there for the bearish version of MYX. So I'm not looking at it and expecting $30, $40. I'm saying all of this sell-off will probably go get a secondary test around that range there, $8, before we then go and die for the bear market if it wants to go die. So my upside potential or targets for this on the weekly time frame sitting around $8. Diving this then into the 4-hour analysis. Although let's go back. Let's get this to the 4-hour. Diving this into the 4-hour analysis, I need to do the exact same. I want to wait for the 4-hour to be blue, which it is right now. And then I want to dive onto the smaller time frames and enter on the blue candle. So when did we go blue? We went blue right there. So it's just turned blue 4 candles ago. 3-candle rule. 1, 2, 3 candles back, the extreme. That would be where your invalidation would live for the 4-hour swing. Sorry, guys, I need to draw that line. That would be the invalidation. And while this is blue, all that I need to do is go on to the 10-minute or the 15-minute. And when those candles turn blue again, just like it did there, when it turns blue again, I'll enter. Now the last setup turned blue. 3 candles back to invalidation. 1, 2, 3. Simple as that. You stay in the move for as long as the trend is there. Or alternatively, you can use your fib fan, high, low, higher, high, higher, high, higher, high. As long as it's there, once it loses it, you get out. Simple as that. Trying to trade with the momentum. Spot traders, it's very simple. You look at the 4-hour and you say to yourself, this is my risk zone between $3.50 and $3. And the play would be to try and get this to $8 minimum for an exit rally. Okay, that's it. Now, last coin that I'm picking up here is RAIN. Now, this is prediction market coins. This is where everybody becomes exceptionally degenerate gamblers. So I don't really know what to make of it. I mean, looking at the Twitter page of it, 41,000 followers for Rain Protocol, but you can basically bet on anything and grab anything and make anything into a trade. And I think a lot of traders are moving that side, because you cannot be taken out of scam wicks, because basically what you're betting on is an event. I'm saying the market is going to, MYX is going to $8. Prediction market wise, I can just grab that trade and make that, and if it goes to $3, I can still wait. I can wait it out. I don't have that hard stop or that liquidation level on the charts there. So it makes for an interesting market. I think maybe something to go and have a look at if you really want to be betting. It's something I don't really like. But the token looks interesting. So let's quickly see if I can just get the token real quick here for you guys. Okay. So we're sitting in a situation where it's building a base around this at around 0.8 cents. So I would say to myself, if I look at this thing from a chart point of view, that we're making higher highs. There's an imbalance around 0.007. Maybe consider grabbing some of that around that area and see how far the prediction markets are going to go. Simple as that. Little lead there. Thanks so much for taking the time, guys. I'll be talking to you soon. Have a lovely day. Head over to the Discord. You know where to find me. If you want to get access to the buddy indicator, you know what to do there as well. Everything links is in the video description. Everything is explained in the channel, so it's easy for you to get to it. And that's it. Have a lovely day and have a great week, everybody. Bye-bye.